What is the weirdest NSFW fact you know? Iceland has a penis museum with specimens from multiple species. Hot water will denature the proteins in semen, making it lumpy and sticky. Like frying an egg, use cold water for cleaning it off skin, surfaces, out of hair. Brazil nuts are sexually transmissible. As in, if a man eats Brazil nuts and then ejaculates into a woman who is allergic to Brazil nuts, she will have an allergic reaction. Governor Ratcliffe of Pocahontas fame was flayed alive by the Powhatan using mussel shells. They skinned his entire body, saving his face for last. Then he was burned at the stake. The Romans had a plant that was an effective contraceptive but then fucked it out of existence. When the Egyptians conquered what is now Libya, they took 13,000 plus foreskins of the defeated enemy as trophies. We shall ensure they don't retaliate by taking their family as hostage. Take their mothers, their sisters, their sons and their daughters. Take all four, take their kin. Huh? What? Sorry, Pharaoh, a bee was in my ear. What did you say? I said go to our defeated enemies and take their four kins. Okay boss, the longest lasting orgasm in mammals is from the domestic pig. It lasts on average for 30 minutes, but can last up to 90 minutes. The inside of your mouth is made from the same skin cells as the inside of a vagina. Priapus is a minor Greek god of livestock, farmers, and fucking gigantic penises. Please look up a picture of him. Added for those few still finding this, Priapism is named after him. He tried to rape Hestia in her sleep, but a donkey came up behind him and scared him and he lost his erection, which woke her up. Ever since that day he had a burning hatred of donkeys. During World War I, STIs were incredibly common, and some soldiers purposely tried to get infected so that they could be honorably discharged and avoid the trenches. Some were ordered to be chased and threatened with punishment, but it didn't really stop them. They would transfer pus between penises with matchsticks. My dick always gets really small when I'm sick. I almost rely on that to determine if I'm truly sick or just temporarily feeling off. Cats' penises are weird. They're short and spiky. The explanation for the spikes: female cats don't ovulate unless they're stimulated by the spikes. This is called induced ovulation. With every thrust of the penis, female cats produce an egg. Because of this, there can be different fathers in the same litter. I'd kib out you, but I found it really interesting and kinda weird. A duck can change his penis size, making it bigger to compete with other males. Napoleon's penis was removed by the doctor doing the autopsy and preserved. It's been sold and resold to many buyers. It was purchased by a professor of urology at Columbia University in the 70s, and passed on to his daughter when he died about 15 years ago. She is the current owner. Olympic Village during the games is basically a massive fuckfest. In 2000, the athletes were provided with a total of 70,000 condoms and they had to order an emergency shipment of more because they ran out. Peyronie's disease is a condition where scar tissue forms inside the penis, causing it to be bent when the patient has an erection. It must be painful. There's a group of flatworms that live on the ocean floor. They are hermaphroditic and can supply sperm to others or give birth themselves if they are fertilized by others. All individuals want to be the one to supply the sperm as it's much less resource intensive than growing your own babies, so they use their sharp penises to penis fence with others to be the first to inject the other with sperm. There's some great penis fencing videos online. Take a look. There's a load of weird and wonderful facts out there on sex competition in animals. Japanese law requires porn to censor the noof genitals of the actors and actresses, but not the butthole. It's only when a dick or other phallic object enters the ass does it become censored. If you don't jack off for a prolonged period of time, your semen turns yellow. Weird NSFW fact: tickling was once considered an aphrodisiac in the Muscovite palaces and courts for centuries. In fact, both Catherine the Great and Anna Ivanovna were ardent participants. Ticklers sang naughty ballads and told lewd stories whilst tickling their ladies' feet, working their mistresses up into an erotic frenzy with which to meet their husbands or partners. From personal experience I can say this works with overwhelming results. I can attest after being together a few years with my girlfriend, who loves to hate hates to love it, that nothing gets her in the mood faster. There is erectile tissue in the nose, similar to the corpus spongiosum in the penis, and the clitoris. It will also become engorged with blood when aroused, and can cause sneezing. What is weird is that I sneeze every time I get aroused. Every time. Thankfully, few people know this is a thing. No one knows this about me, and even if they did, I have allergies, so I can blame it on that. So whenever you see someone sneeze, they could actually be turned on. So while making out, if someone sneezes in your face, forgive them because it's a compliment. Edited to add, because I also get nosebleeds during my period. I used to think it was endometriosis, which is extremely rare to be in the nose. Researching that is how I found out about this. After reading the comments here, I'm guessing this is more common than any one of us knew. We just thought we were alone, because no one talks about stuff like this. As a woman is about to orgasm, the vagina decreases in size by as much as 30%. This contraction helps to increase the sensitivity felt by the woman as she climaxes into the orgasm. Edit: the contractions also enhance the man's pleasure and keeps any discharged sperm into place for potential fertilization as the vagina grips tighter around the penis. Mozart wrote pieces called Lick My Arse Right Well and Clean K. 233 and Lick My Arse K. 231, for 6 voices. He also wrote a letter to his cousin, "Well, I wish you good night, but first shit in your bed and make it burst. Sleep soundly, my love. Into your mouth your arse you'll shove." Hannah Montana was originally titled Alexis Texas until Disney realized that was the same name as a porn star. During my mom's pregnancy with me, she was writing an 8-person Buffy the Vampire Slayer orgy fanfic. She warned me that if I was ever caught watching porn she would make me do a book report on it. Very few things scare me as much as having to read my mom's erotica. Edit: to respond to the 2 main questions, my mom didn't want me watching porn till I was an adult, and I was never caught so I never read it or wrote a report. People who get methadone prescribed on the NHS have to drink it in front of the pharmacist to ensure that they aren't going to sell it. However, some addicts will immediately go away and vomit up the methadone for resale. Former smack addicts shared this nugget with me. The pH of a healthy, human vagina is between 3.8 and 4.5, making it acidic and giving it the tangy taste we all love. Clownfish are sequential hermaphrodites. So Finding Nemo, when the mom died, Merlin's body would produce female organs and he would become the maternal figure, and the first child, Nemo, would take over the paternal role. Humans are one of the few mammals without a penis bone. Bedbugs don't have vaginas. They stab each other with hypodermic needle dongs. Also, the male bedbugs rape each other with their needle dicks because there's a chance that if the victim then needles a female he'll impregnate her with the rapist's sperm instead of his own. Rats are really gay. They do sex stuff with each other all the time, but they're only interested in the opposite sex when the females go into heat. Bats are also super gay. Like 90% of male bats prefer other males. Some spiders do BDSM. The tiny male ties up the huge female so he has a chance to run away after they mate. The more promiscuous the females of a species are, the larger the average testicle size of the males is, because the more likely one sperm is to find itself inside of a female at the same time as another male's sperm, the more evolution will favor males whose sperm outnumber the opposition. Therefore, gorillas have tiny balls because only the dominant male in a troop mates, whereas chimp balls are huge because their fertile females mate with every male one after another. Human balls are intermediate between the two because we're nominally monogamous with some degree of cheating. A slave was brought along on the Lewis and Clark trip, and many of the Native American tribes had never seen black skin before and wouldn't let the expedition leave until he had slept with a few of the women in the tribe. Also, the men on the trip took mercury pills to fight the syphilis they had. So much mercury that we can still find a few spots where they kept just from the mercury content. Former President Lyndon B. Johnson used to brag about the size of his dick to White House staff, and there is a recorded phone call of Nixon calling his tailor and detailing him to make the crotch a bit looser for his dick. One of the main theories behind the rise in autoimmune disorders is because we have largely eliminated worms from infecting us. Think hookworms, or something swimming up your pee hole, and some of the antibodies that used to deal with those organisms have now basically just gotten drunk and bored and are looking for a fight. In 1988, a Georgia man named James D. Mosley was sentenced to 5 years in prison for having oral sex with his own wife. She accused him of forcing oral sex on her. He testified in his own defense where he said that it was consensual. So he was found guilty of sodomy without aggravation, oral or anal sex with consent, which was a crime in Georgia, and sentenced to prison. He served 18 months. Georgia's sodomy law remained in effect until 1998. In your brain, a man's nerves for his feet and penis are right next to each other. If he were to lose a foot, the brain would reshape the pathways in a process called neuroplasticity. Essentially, this would cause phantom limbs, and whatever he'd feel in his penis he would also feel where his foot once was. And this, my friends, is how it's possible to have an orgasm in your non-existent foot. Cats have a needle in their dicks and it only softens at climax, meaning they are in physical pain when they have sex. The yowling you hear from the female cat is because she is in intense pain, so that makes cats really into BDSM. While human ovulation is supposed to be hidden, man can actually pick up on it. If you hint close to a man that were worn by an ovulating woman and tell him to sniff them, he'll guess correctly more often than just guessing would get. It isn't perfect and it isn't conscious, so men don't necessarily know they're picking up on whatever the scent is, but it's kind of weird when you think about it. We don't know we're doing it, but we can often tell when a woman is currently fertile. More in line with the purpose of the question, however, this isn't just clothing. Straight men tip female strippers more if she's ovulating while she performs. Male bedbugs have penises, but female bedbugs don't have an orifice for them. The male performs what's known as traumatic insemination, where he jabs his dick into the carapace of the female, into her organs, and inseminates the eggs in her body, usually. She later dies, but her genetics live on, usually. Sometimes she just dies. Canadian soldiers during World War I had the highest cases of venereal diseases out of all the Allies. This was due to the fact they had higher pay and couldn't go home on leave like others could. Edit. And a follow-up fact, if anyone is interested, though it was the 1910s, Canada still held on to very Victorian ideologies. This meant that the men who were coming home with VDs were seen as less than and at times not even considered heroes like their clean counterparts. In the mating of banana slugs, the penis is inserted into the body of the partner. The penis may become trapped, perhaps because of the action of a special muscle, in which case the penis is gnawed off by either the partner or the owner.